A question that's been asked a lot by, manga fans and, anime fans is when will the Bleach anime return? For those of you who don't know, Bleach was one of the big three, quote unquote, one of the three most popular anime slash manga in not Japan, I think. Well, it was very, very popular in Japan, and it still is, and it's still pretty, gigantic, even in America. And in March of 2012, the anime pretty much ended. And something that a lot of people have been asking ever since then, and they still do, and there's a whole lot of speculation concerning this, is when will the Bleach anime return? Now, there's a lot of speculation for why the anime was even canceled. Some people say that the ratings just went completely to hell. Others people, have their own theories. But I think the reason for why the Bleach anime was canceled or put on hold or, just delayed for a while up until now is because when the Bleach anime ended, it ended at the Lost Agent arc. There was the arc that was concerning, the Fullbringers, Ichigo getting his Soul Reaper powers back. And just before that arc happened, they had this Reigai arc, and it was a filler arc that wasn't in the manga. And since the Lost Agent arc wasn't that particularly long in either manga or anime format, I think that the production team responsible for it, they probably just decided that instead of spending, more money and that stuff on making another filler arc so soon after the last one, they pretty much just decided that they're gonna put the series on hold for a while and that they're gonna wait until the manga ends, or at least until it reaches the end. Because I think that that's the big reason for why it was, canceled or put on hold or whatever, is because I think that the Bleach fillers are kind of notorious. I don't think they're as notorious as the Naruto fillers, where there's like a fucking filler episode every other week. But the Bleach fillers are pretty kind of notorious in the fan base. A lot of people dislike them. I kind of like them. I like the Zanpakuto one. I like the Bout one. I hate the Amagai one. But I can just see why the production team decided, instead of spending all this money on just making another long filler arc that's probably gonna, cost them more fans and more viewers, they just decided, they're gonna wait until the manga is finished, and then when the manga does finally finish, very soon, I think it will, then they're gonna bring back the anime, and they're gonna do it without any fillers and stuff. Some people are even going as far as to say that they're gonna do like something like DBZ Kai, which is like Bleach remastered in this fancy new animation in HD without all the filler in it, and that might happen. I don't think it's going to happen as soon as this. I think that if a Bleach Kai something ever happens, it's going to happen in at least 10 or 15 years. And I mean, for the love of God, Naruto needs a Naruto Kai or something, because the filler is just fucking insane in that show. But back to Bleach. When do I think when do I think the anime will return? I definitely think it will return. I don't think that it's going to be gone forever like a lot of other people are speculating. I just think that it's been put on hold for a little while, and then it's going to come back once the manga is finished or once it nears completion. So that way they don't have to make any filler. They can just focus on the Thousand-Year Blood War arc and just completely focus on that without needing to make all this non-canon stuff in between that's going to just kill the pacing. So I think that the only way you can pretty much know when the anime will return is when the manga will end. Now, the final arc of Bleach started around the same time the anime ended. That was about late February, early March is when Chapter 480 came out, and that was the beginning of the final Blood War arc. And this summer, Tite Kubo took a break from Bleach, during July and August, and he pretty much stated that half of the Thousand-Year Blood War arc is finished, and now they're going into the second stage of the final arc that's called the Thousand-Year Blood War, The Separation, I think. And this arc started, the first half of the arc started about a year and a half ago. So I'm going to go on a limb and say that the second half of the arc will probably last anywhere between a year, year and a half, or maybe even 2 years. So I think that the Bleach manga can end anywhere between late 2014, early 2015, or late 2015. So anywhere between that, I know that's a pretty long period of time that it could end, but considering the fact that Tite Kubo himself, the creator of Bleach, has pretty much stated that the half of the arc is already completed and they're moving into the second half, I'm gonna go on a limb and say not early, like September, October 2014 is when the manga will end, and then I think that before it ends or just after it ends, they're just gonna launch this whole big thing where they're just gonna announce, we're doing Bleach, I don't know, 2.0, Bleach Unlimited, Bleach Reborn, or whatever the hell they're going to call it. They're definitely going to put a subtitle or something on it, and they're just going to announce, the Bleach anime is back, we're going to do, the animated version of the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. It's going to be awesome and stuff, and they're just going to, I assume they're going to make a shit ton of money out of that. So, yes, I do think that the Bleach anime will return. I think that the earliest possible date is, Q4 2014 to Q4 2015. That's a pretty long period of time, but manga takes a while to complete. But Tite Kubo himself has given us some pretty concrete information as to how much more stuff is going to happen in the manga. And since 50% of this arc is over, I don't think we're going to have to wait 10 more years like a lot of people are saying, because every time this topic gets brought up anywhere in conversation, there's always this one dumbass who says that this is going to last 10 years, and Kubo said the 10 years thing back in 2010. That was like almost 3 or 4 years ago at this point, and a lot can change in that time. Like in 2010, the fake Karakura Town arc wasn't even finished, I think. No, it definitely wasn't even finished. I don't think in 2010 the fake Karakura Town arc even started, but I could be wrong about that. So, no, I don't think it's going to last 10 years, especially since the fact that in an interview he said that the arc is half done, or that a very, 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 very large chunk of it was done, but I'm going to say 50% done. So yeah, I think that the Bleach anime will probably return in a year, year and a half, maybe 2 years, anywhere between that time period, and then once it does come back, I imagine a lot of people are going to be excited for it. It's probably going to be a big success, and yada, yada, yada. Do I think they're going to release any OVAs or movies in between then? I don't know. They haven't given any indication that they want to do any of that stuff. I imagine they might do some OVA or something, or some random episode where they just, or like some kind of a mini adventure or something. I imagine they might do that at some point, but still, if they did really want to do that, or if they did want to do a movie, they probably would have announced something by now, because the anime's been off the air for a year and a half, and I imagine that we would have gotten some indication of that. So maybe they might do an OVA. I doubt they're doing a movie. I think they're just waiting for Kubo to finally finish the manga. Then once the manga is done, they can just, once the manga nears its completion, they're going to start maybe announcing the return of the anime. Maybe they're even going to start airing some of the early 1,000-Year Blood War animated episodes and stuff. That's also a possibility. But yeah, I think it's definitely going to come back. I think it's at least a year away. I think that once the manga nears its completion, or it's finally over after 10 years, I think that's the time when the anime is going to come back, guns blazing, and it's just and hopefully it'll do this arc justice, because I've been really enjoying this arc. I'll go on a limb and say this is almost tied as my favorite arc of Bleach with the Soul Society arc. I know that's kind of blasphemy, since the Soul Society arc is called one of the greatest shonen arcs ever. But yeah, I will agree that the Soul Society arc is pretty damn awesome. But I will say that this arc has been pretty cool. There have been some issues with it, but overall, if they can really just put all their time and focus onto making this arc the best one in terms of, sound, animation, quality, and all that stuff, I think we're going to be in for a treat once the anime does inevitably return. So yeah, that's my theory on what's going to happen with the anime. I don't think it's gone forever. Even if it doesn't start immediately after the end of the manga, I do think that at some point in time the anime will return, and it's going to conclude everything that's been done in the manga. It might not happen immediately after, but I do think that at some point in time it will happen, and we just don't know when. So that's for when it's going to come back. All we can do is speculate. We haven't gotten any official word or anything from Kubo or anybody from the guys who animated the show or the manga. So yeah, those are my theories on when Bleach will return. Give me your theories if you're a Bleach reader. If you're not, I don't know, check it out if you want. I think that it's a pretty cool, manga or anime. It's not the greatest one ever in terms of storyline or characterization, but I still think it's a good anime and manga. Maybe a bit overrated if you ask the fanboys, but still, out of the big three, I would still call it the best one in terms of quality, even though I'm not much of a One Piece fan. But now I'm just blabbering on and on like I do at the end of every video. So yeah, give me your theories on when you think Bleach will return. Check out the manga or the anime if you haven't already. And I hope you guys enjoy the video.